Hello, long time no see. I have not been online or posting anything because I've been using myself as a case study for manifestation. And I've had three major manifestations take place in this past year. And so I've just been living it. And I've also been very diligent about writing down my process through the manifestation journey and kind of the things that have occurred and techniques that I've used. So then I can actually share it with you guys and just share my own experiences and also offer like basically what worked for me, and hopefully it works for you. Or if you have anything to add, please feel free to leave it into the comments below, because I think videos like this too really help out if you're on that journey. You may know what you're doing, but it is a journey, and so it's nice to know when someone else is going through it and get their insight and stuff like that. So I manifested, like I was saying, three big events. So I got a trip to Thailand. I brought home a silver medal from my first martial arts tournament, where I performed very well in 2 fights in one day. And that happened this past weekend, by the way, which is why I'm super fresh and kind of more passionate about that one. And then I also manifested my ideal relationship. So I'm going to have a separate video about the relationship because that I went through a similar process that I'm going to share with you now, but that I used for all of it. But between each one, obviously there were different kind of subnotes there that I noticed took place that gave me these results. So without further ado, let's talk about the main points that I realized throughout this journey. So one thing I learned about manifestation is that manifestation is the art of becoming. So it's not just having your desire, but it's becoming the person that has that desire fulfilled. And that within itself is life-changing, because where you're at now is not in alignment with the desire that you have. So you are literally going to be changing a part of your identity in order to align with this desire that you have. And going into this, I wasn't thinking of it like that. I was thinking of it as let me just put it out there and then let it go and have it come to me, right? And that sort of worked, except I would get into alignment with the thing that I wanted, but then I would kind of fall out of alignment sometime, or it would leave my life, or it wouldn't last, or maybe I would just get a certain aspect of it and not the full. And I kind of want to know what that was, and when these three big events happen, it kind of dawned on me that it's like, okay, yeah, the reason why these other manifestations weren't consistent was because I wasn't actually changing my identity in order to be that self that has this and maintains this desire. So that was number one, was understanding the art of manifestations, the art of becoming the person who has this desire fulfilled. So I'm going to, in this video, and I'll have a separate one for the relationship, but in this video I'm going to talk about the tournament, because the tournament in Thailand, because the tournament in particular was probably the most arduous journey I've been on for a long time. And so there was a lot of ups and downs with manifesting. And I think that when you have a desire like that you want to fulfill, that is actually a pretty big journey. There's a lot of ups and downs with that. And so, you find yourself questioning, is this for real? Is this going to happen? Is it not? It's supposed to be effortless, but it's not. I don't understand. So let's start with the first breakdown. So the first breakdown was that helped me to gain continuous motivation for this journey and for this goal. So was assessing, first of all, what I wanted. So I wanted to enter into this Muay Thai tournament, have 2 fights, and leave as a winner. That's what I wanted. Right after that, I assessed my values that were related to the desire. So what unmet needs did I have that this was fulfilling for me? Basically, why do I want to fight? Why do I want to do this? And And I asked myself, what was important about that? And I continued to ask myself these questions until I uncovered my values with them. So at first it was like, I just wanted the attention. Like, I like the attention and being recognized as a fighter. What's important about that? I get to show off my skills. What's important about that? I come across as strong in the community. And if I'm strong in the community, then I am loved and accepted as one of the protectors of my community. So, and what was important about that? I wanted to feel confident in being able to protect the people who I love and care about. So that was my main value that was attached to this tournament, that was attached to my martial arts career in general, was that I wanted to learn how to protect the people I loved and feel confident in knowing that I can protect the people who I care about. And for me, guns, people might argue like, yeah, you can get guns or whatever, but that's not really my style. Like, I'm like, that's cool, and maybe down in the future, that might be a thing, but when it comes to like the way how I grew up, and I grew up being in a lot of street fights and stuff like that, and just having bullies and all that kind of stuff, it was important for me to be able to physically know how to fight and to protect myself and the people who I cared about. There was also a value about being a female in the martial arts world and being respected for that and being an inspiration to other female athletes. So that was another big value that I had related to this. So that gave me unending motivation to continue on this journey, because that was something, those things were very, very important that I live my everyday life trying to fulfill. So once I did that, then I began to conjure an image of my future self. Because the other thing about manifesting, and even just living in general, is that if you are not living from your future self, then you are living from the past. The past is what creates our perception that we're using now. So in order to change that perception, we have to know how to live in the future. So I started living from my future self. What kind of person would I be after I win this tournament? What kind of person am I as an inspiration to females, or as someone considered a protector, as someone who is embodying all of these values and all of these qualities? What do they look like? What do they act like? And so I started living from that future image, and I started acting upon that. You know, what will my future self say about this moment right here? And that really helped me to gain clarity on the steps that I needed to take in order to actually become that future person. Which actually leads to the next point, was understanding what success actually looked like. So success looked like, you know, coming home with a tournament, with a medal. That was great. That's definitely something I wanted. And winning, but my big thing on success as being someone who protected others and fulfilling those values was I wanted to have really amazing sportsmanship. I wanted to even make friends with my opponents. I wanted to be able to leave unscathed. And there was like a mini gesture in there that I told myself was that I'm going to dance at the end of every round for both my fights. That's going to be my source of power, is going to be like, you can't get me down. Like, you can try, but the groove train is still going. Like, you can be mad, but not this girl, you know? That was like my image of success. And so when I started to acknowledge that and accept that, again, the motivation continued, but also clarity was received on the resistance that I had. So this whole journey of fight camp was so fucking intense. man, because like my coach was beating me up, like everybody, and I'm one of the only girls at my gym that's doing striking. It was me and one other girl who was 30 pounds heavier than me. So literally I am the smallest person surrounded by big ass dudes, and we're all hard sparring. Like, it was crazy. And so like good days felt like I hadn't done enough, and bad days felt fucking horrible. Like I was just gonna lose. Like it was just not gonna work out. And so it was in those moments, though, that I was able to see what my current thoughts and behaviors were that were causing resistance towards me achieving these goals. So I really had to assess how I was thinking about myself and then reassign meaning to those emotions and belief systems and thoughts to something such as, this is a test of my mental toughness. Right? So I started reassigning things like that. And I also started looking at the smaller issues I was having. So when I would feel really fucking off during that day, like shit, today was horrible. I was horrible in sparring today. How am I going to fucking win? How am I going to be able to protect myself if I can't fucking dodge a goddamn jab? You know, like simple things like that, right? And so I'd be like, okay, what resistance am I feeling here? And it's like, okay, I'm unable to enter flow state. Or I get frustrated easily when someone's in a flurry and they're coming at me. So that illuminated then the clarity that I needed to gain for my next step. Okay, so my next step then is success to me looks like being able to enter flow state and being able to stay calm in the storm of chaos, right? How can I stay calm within chaos? And so I would start working on that. So my meditations and visualizations on success wasn't just winning a gold medal, but it was being able to remain calm in the chaos. And I also, and in order to help with that as well, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I'm a big believer in if you have an idea of a future self, then you should look at others doing what it is that you desire. So I was listening to podcasts from martial artists and from professional fighters and hearing their viewpoints. And that really helped me to get out of the negative mindsets because they went through the exact same thing. So it was easier for me to see like, okay, off days really do just feel off, but everyone goes through this and that's cool. I also worked on my nerves. So again, the little thing, right? Like they say, like you get really fucking nervous before you go on into the ring, right? And so that's actually where the determinant of who's going to win the fight comes in. Because if you're too nervous, you get stage fright. And next thing you know, you can't perform your best. So I didn't want that to happen. So I started to do meditations as well on reassigning that emotion of stress into turning it into warrior shakes. So every time I would feel that anxiety about the fight, about losing or something like that, and I'd feel myself start shaking, I would immediately in my mind switch and being like, aha, these are my warrior shakes. I'm fucking ready. And then I would reassign the anxiety to enthusiasm, to almost like the polar opposite, but of the same intensity of degree of the emotion that I was feeling. And all of a sudden, those shakes became something of enthusiasm. And it really worked. Day of tournament, fuck, dude, I shine like a motherfucker. So the day of the tournament, I reassigned my anxieties to enthusiasm. It was like effortless work. I lost my first fight, but clearly I have absolutely no bruises or scratches. And I won the crowd in that first fight. So the other person won because of the types of knees we were throwing at each other, technical stuff, but I won the crowd. And it was really, it was an amazing adventure. And the second fight I won unanimous. And I was able to enter flow state and I was able to remain calm. And again, no bruises were left on my body. None. And afterwards too, I got picked up by a promoter for some other fights who set up fights. And the woman of it, she came to me, and she came on her own on her own volition, and she was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that we promote that my husband and I, we set up fights across the state, and we saw you, and I was just so inspired by your performance because it looked like you had so much fun up there. The whole time in both fights, I was fucking smiling and laughing. Like, I was having a great time, dude." And so the woman afterwards came up to me and was like, "Yeah, I would love to see you in Phoenix for one of our events to fight there." She's like, and she's like, "I just want to let you know too, I've seen a whole bunch of fights in my lifetime, and yours has actually inspired me to start training to compete, because it looked like that you were in so much of your element, you had so much fun up there, and it was really inspiring for me. Can I get a video of your second fight so then I can sort of learn from it?" And I was so honored, and I kept getting confronted by all these females throughout the whole time, just being like, "Yo, like, your attitude was amazing. Like, I feel like I can do this now." And that's exactly what success meant for me, right? And I brought home a silver medal, which again is part of the success story. But the other part of the success story was knowing that I'm confident in my skills, that I can defend the people who I love, and having a good time at it and leaving unscathed. Now for the witchy part. So I used NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, meditations to remove resistance. I'm the type of person that can't just recognize resistance and then just be like, "Oh, let it go." Like, no, I have to locate it in my body. So I would visualize myself winning a tournament, right? And then, or entering flow state, or one of those steps that I was having issues with. And I would then locate the resistance I had in my body, and I would remove physically that resistance from my body. So I would imagine myself scooping it out or whatever. I would also create a keyhole into that resistance, into that ick, whatever that came out of my body, and dive into it. Feel all the emotions associated with it, and find out what memories were attached to that feeling. Once I did that, I placed it in front of me, and I imagined myself on a timeline. So to my left was all of the past. My present was right in front of me, and my future was to the right. And what I did was, once I had investigated what memories and beliefs that I had that was causing this ick feeling, this resistance, take it out of my body, place it in front of me, and then I pushed it down the timeline towards the past. And I kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until I could no longer see it. Then I went to the present part of my timeline, and I imagined the exact opposite, and I conjured the exact opposite feeling too. And then I implemented that into the same place in my body where the resistance had been. That really, really helped me remove resistance. Really helped me do it. You can find meditations on this. This guy named Epstein, Epstein, has a good blueprint for removing resistance. If you just type in removing resistance and then Epstein, it's going to pop up. And you can use that meditation as your blueprint to help you remove resistance in these steps. So I use that a lot, and that helped me a lot. I also did chakra shuddhi almost every day. Chakra shuddhi really helped to bring balance, because I am not the kind of person where if something negative happens, all of a sudden I can think of positive. I can't switch like that. But I can eventually switch to it if I find balance and contentment in the middle. And chakra shuddhi really helped me find that balance. So I use chakra shuddhi a lot, especially with emotional regulation. Chakra shuddhi. You can also find that on YouTube, those meditations. And you can do it yourself, too, if you read Dharana Darshan. That is a really great yogic book that teaches you chakra shuddhi that I used. I also, so I reassigned meaning. Yes. And then lastly, I used the Goetia. So I use the Goetia in relationship to my astrology. So currently and I'm going to do a separate video too on how to use astrology for magic and shit like that, because I think a lot of people are used by astrology instead of using the planets and using that shit to help you. But because of my knowledge of what was currently happening in my natal chart, I was able to connect to my occult side, my witchy side, and I used the Goetia Bure. And Bure is really good with healing and recovery, and so I used that energy in order to help me remain protected, and clearly it fucking worked. So that was my process on winning the tournament and leaving totally fine and in really, really good spirits. And as far as the success part of it goes, not only did I have the promoter pick me up and stuff like that, but I also was featured as one of the main photos on the tournament's page. I got to show off a bit and do a flying Superman punch. Like, there was just really, really cool moments that kind of brought a little bit of fame to my name, which was part of my success. So that's how I manifested my tournament win, and that's how I was able to stay consistent with everything. And how that related to Thailand as well. The Thailand adventure, I had bought the tickets a while ago, and my goal was to work with professional fighters. At that time, the values assessed were the same. I wanted to know how to protect people, that kind of stuff. But that was tweaked a little bit because I also just really wanted to learn all I could about Muay Thai, because I loved that art and I wanted to connect to my inner martial arts monk. And so when I went over there, it was like almost immediate that professional fighters were talking to me and I was able to speak to them. Now in Thailand, where I was, it was a huge benefit that professional fighters were freaking everywhere, because Thailand is a fight community. Like, Muay Thai is their thing. Like, everyone and their grandma fights. So it was really simple for that to happen. And because of the attitude I had going into it, the perception, and going into it as a student of this art form, and also the respect I had for my crews, for my teachers, that allowed me to meet other students and professional fighters and get to know them on a personal basis and work with them pretty much every day, which was absolutely amazing. So that was my first manifestation story. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about how I manifested my relationship, because there were some tweaks that I did. But for any of those like career changes or anything that creates a journey to a tangible result, something that you can relate to, I think that this process is pretty solid. It helped me out a lot. So I hope this helped you. I will see you in the next video, and many blessings on your journeys. Bye.